They say fortune favors the bold. Well, newly hired Minnesota Timberwolves president of basketball operations Tim Connelly certainly isn't taking a cautious approach to his new gig, pulling off the most talked about trade of the offseason in acquiring Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz in exchange for a monumental pile of future draft capital. The trade has been polarizing, being praised by some but torn apart by skeptics. The Wolves have been one of the more unstable NBA franchises in recent memory, and there's no question that history played into the trade decision. But, believe it or not, there's a real scenario where this gamble pays off. At first glance, the Wolves surrendered a shocking haul of draft compensation for Gobert. 3 unprotected first-round draft picks, 1 pick swap in 2026, a protected first-round pick in 2029, and 2 of Minnesota's recent draft picks, the 22nd overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft, big man Walker Kessler, and the 23rd pick in the 2020 draft, Leandro Bolmaro. By my calculations, that is essentially 7 draft picks, plus Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, and Jared Vanderbilt in exchange for Gobert. The Timberwolves are mortgaging any draft equity they have for the majority of the next decade. And on the surface, all those picks seem great for Utah, but what will they end up being really? In all likelihood, with a Gobert, Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards core now in place for the near future, most of these picks sent to Utah are likely to fall in the late first round. Gobert is under contract until 2025 and could be until 2026 if he opts into a $46.6 million player option at 33 years old, which is a safe bet to make. Towns inked a 4-year, $224 million Supermax extension that will keep him in Minnesota until 2028. And the 20-year-old Edwards is eligible for a 5-year, nearly $200 million extension in the summer of 2023, which could keep him around until 2028 and beyond. That's also a safe bet to make because the Wolves, having his bird rights, can offer him more money than any other team. In that time, the Wolves have a real chance to enter the upper echelon of the Western Conference with Gobert anchoring the middle, because he is an all-in-one solution to a number of their problems. First and foremost, there is no question he's going to revolutionize their defense. Since Towns was drafted in 2014, the Wolves have only been a top 15 defense just once, last season where they finished 13th in defensive efficiency. But before that, they never ranked higher than 20th. The reason for the Timberwolves' improvement last season on D was because head coach Chris Finch adjusted Minnesota's pick and roll coverage to be more aggressive, with Towns showing at the level of the screen instead of playing drop, and sometimes throwing in some trapping or even doubling on pick and roll actions. It worked remarkably, and Towns wasn't getting burned on defense as much, but it was taxing for the entire team, including Towns, to play such an aggressive style. This can be seen by just how sporadic their defensive rating was on a month-to-month basis. Gobert, who was the linchpin of one of the best defensive teams in the league since 2015, would be the perfect anchor that could help the Timberwolves play a more conservative style on defense. He's not only going to cover for Towns' defensive mishaps, but he's going to make them a non-issue, swallowing up attempts at the rim and cleaning up things in the interior. And if you're worried about how that translates in the playoffs, the key difference between the Jazz and Timberwolves is that Minnesota actually has good wing defenders on their roster in Jaden McDaniels, recently acquired Kyle Anderson, and the ever-improving Edwards. Gobert won't be quote-unquote exposed as much as he was in his recent Jazz playoff runs because he won't have to rush out to the perimeter to guard faster players, and he can rely on his new teammates to cover up some of his own defensive shortcomings, as little as they may be. On top of that, Gobert is an otherworldly rebounder, averaging more than 12 rebounds a game in 5 of his last 7 seasons, and never averaging less than 10 since he became a full-time starter. That should help the Timberwolves, who were 21st in rebounding percentage last season. Even offensively, the Gobert addition is intriguing. Jazz fans have been mocked in the past for bringing up screen assists in defense of Gobert's offensive game, but with Minnesota, it's a legitimate skill that could be put to use. While Towns prefers to pick and pop, Gobert has more rolling gravity, which could function well with the underrated passing prowess of D'Angelo Russell. And those screen assists are also going to provide tons of daylight for Russell and Edwards to get shots off easier.
The spacing that we get for them with my screening, with my rim gravity when I roll to the basket, and also my passing that I think I'm going to be able to showcase even more this year. All those things I think gonna allow them to be even better.
And in the middle, Towns and Gobert can play together offensively as two towering big men with very different skill sets that balance things out. Towns as the sharpshooter stretching the floor, and Gobert's towering presence posing as a vertical threat for easy lobs. Gobert will only enhance everything on the court for the rest of the Timberwolves. Connelly seems to agree.
He doesn't inhibit anything we have presently. He makes it better. He augments what we have presently. So when you look at fit, it's not just about talent, it's about kind of developing a team. And when you see Cat and you see D'Lo and you see Ant, these guys, he's just going to make them better without kind of putting a roadblock on some of the natural progression we've seen the last couple of years.
While it's fair to be skeptical about how Gobert will age throughout the rest of his contract, there's no doubt the Wolves dramatically improved after this deal. Is there a risk they don't ultimately reach finals contender status? Sure, but for a franchise that's been wandering the wilderness for this long, the gamble is worth it. Despite developing players like Kevin Garnett and Kevin Love, the Wolves have only advanced past the first round of the playoffs once in their 33-year history. Fans pay to see winning teams play, not for future draft picks. Now, with Towns, Gobert, and Edwards, the Timberwolves have a chance at stability for the first time in, ever. And even if it doesn't result in championships right away, it is going to provide consistency for a franchise that has never heard the word, all while giving Towns and Edwards some crucial playoff experience in the process, with the team surely becoming a postseason staple, all because of the Gobert acquisition. So while, yes, sending 7 draft picks for a 30-year-old center may seem ridiculous on the surface, it is a risk worth taking for the Timberwolves as a franchise. Whether the Wolves can be a true title threat with this core, that remains to be seen. But there's no question that this trade is one that they absolutely shouldn't second guess. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button.